Good evening, students. Vansh, Karishma, Chanu, Pandian, Veera Pandian, Zaid. Good evening, all of you. Jatin. So out from Diwali mode, everyone. ASP, good evening. Out from Diwali mode, everyone. Kritika. Yasari, good evening. Shakti, good evening. How was your Diwali, Shakti? Very good. पटाखे फोड़े दम के? Good evening, Kaizen. Good evening, Venkat. Good evening, Rahul. Okay, do not like. Okay, you visited Somnath. Okay. So let us start our today's discussion with this scheme. What have I told you? How you should approach any particular scheme? Batao. Well, Shaktiraj, Rajkot ka AI, AQI, if it reached 500, I from Delhi shouldn't talk about this. Now let us come back to our discussion. Enough about Diwali. What have I told you? How you should approach any scheme? कोई भी scheme दिखता है, what all factors you have to keep in mind? Tell me. First, we need to see what kind of problem it is looking to solve, right? अरे इतना खराब नहीं है 2500 दे आर ऐसी आई कैन सी ना AQI it is bad but not as bad as previous years. Why? Because of certain scientific and meteorological factors. Yes, good Shakti ministry, who is the target? So first of all, tell me what this Udan scheme is all about. Aviation. Udan in Hindi means flying. So anything relating to flying, that is aviation. Udan scheme is about that. What was the problem associated with aviation sector? Now this scheme has completed 9 years. So tell me, from 2015 or before that, or 2016 or before that, what do you think was the problem with aviation sector in India? Tell me. Yes. First of all, the tickets were very costly. It made them unaffordable for many people. So earlier, whenever people used to travel by air, they used to make sure that they will do a social media post. It was like a virtue signaling that yes, I've become rich. I can travel by aeroplane. Another factor was connectivity. That even if you can afford to travel by air, the duration that you will have to travel from your home to a nearest airport in some cases would be quite high. Suppose earlier you were living in cities like Agra or in Mathura, you'd have to travel somewhere between 150 to 200 kilometers for the nearest airport, that was New Delhi. Right? So these two are the biggest problems. So what do you think this scheme wants to do? Akshay, you're telling me na similar price, but in 9 years, don't you think inflation has taken place? So even if the ticket pricing is similar these days, don't you think it is relatively cheaper now as compared to say 2016? So this scheme is about connecting smaller cities and offering flight tickets at an affordable rate. Understood? Who launched the scheme? No need to guess. Ministry of Civil Aviation. Right? The objective was to connect small and medium cities through air services, and the scheme is jointly funded by central and state government. So if the question comes, Udan scheme is a central sector scheme, would this be correct? Would this be correct if the question says it is a central sector scheme? No. Central sector scheme, if there is any central sector scheme, it is mean that it is 100% funded by union government. So this is a scheme funded by both union as well as state governments. So not a central sector scheme. Now what are the features of this scheme? That is also very important, that we'll have to see. Now, when government proposed this idea, you know, airline operators came up with a problem that you're asking us to provide flight from a remote areas. So possibilities that rich people might not live there. So I'll anyway have to price my ticket in a lesser amount. Or even if I start operating this flight, this would make it unaffordable for me. So government came up with a solution. Government says that tum start to karo, I will give you what is known as viability gap funding. You know what is viability gap funding? The government will provide you a kind of subsidy until this business becomes self-sustainable in nature. So government said that I will provide you financial support so that you can keep the fares affordable, and government stated that the fares you can keep is about 2500 rupees for a 1 hour duration flight. And the focus was done on underserved and unserved airports, because Delhi, Mumbai would obviously get a traffic, state capitals would obviously get a traffic. What about smaller cities, right? And these airports would be developed using public-private partnership model. And this would lead to what? Regional economic development. Now, how regional economic development would happen due to air travel? Can anyone link it for me? Can anyone link it for me? How economic development will happen if I start a flight from one place to another? Let me give you an example. Earlier, if a tourist was visiting Agra from another country, they would have to come to Delhi first, and from Delhi they'll have to take a cab, train, etc. to reach Agra. So the connectivity was a problem. So don't you think lesser tourists might have been going to Agra? Because it is not as easy to reach Agra before. Now what happens? In case you provide connectivity to Agra, a foreign tourist would arrive at Delhi and straight away would catch a domestic flight to Agra. Right? So it has made it more convenient for tourists to go to Agra. So it would mean more tourism. Right? Tell me a remote industrial area in India. Can you tell me a remote industrial area? Anyone? An area which is away from metro cities but quite well known for its industries? Let us consider Vishakhapatnam. Okay? Let us consider Vishakhapatnam here. Yes, even Coimbatore. Coimbatore is a better example, I guess. Right? Now, earlier, flights, even though they were available in cities like Vizag, they were very less frequent. Or Coimbatore is a big industrial area in Tamil Nadu, not connected earlier directly by airport. Or even Jamshedpur. Jamshedpur is a big industrial area, not connected directly by the airport. You'll have to deboard at Ranchi, take a train or a cab from Ranchi to Jamshedpur, which is about, I guess, 200 kilometers, 150 to 200 kilometers apart. Now, suppose if I'm a foreign investor, I'm Sundar Pichai and I want to invest in Vizag. Now, if I can't reach Vizag directly, don't you think I would invest my money in, say, Bangalore or Hyderabad? I would invest my money in Delhi NCR or Bombay. So if I start direct flights to Vizag, to Coimbatore, don't you think more business persons would be able to travel to these cities conveniently? This would bring more foreign investment, even more domestic investment. You can send goods urgently through airport to other parts of the country. So this increases business activity. Understood? So this is the benefit of this. Any other benefit? Any other benefit? भूल रहे हो the most basic benefit of this scheme. Yes, it will reduce load on big cities, good, but not the basic benefit. Jobs, already a benefit, but the most basic benefit. Suppose I am a software engineer or I am a UPSC aspirant or a UPSC teacher living in Delhi, and I hail from a small city in Bihar, Darbhanga, right? Now earlier Darbhanga was not covered directly by an airport. Darbhanga now is directly connected by airport under Udan scheme. So suppose if I am working in Delhi, if I plan to go to Darbhanga, it would take me one entire day to go by train. So I would take a longer leave just to go to Darbhanga and come back to Delhi. But now with air connectivity, I can take lesser amount of leave. So this increases or reduces my economic productivity. It increases or reduces economic productivity. It increases my economic productivity. The same reason why government is developing bullet trains also. If people can travel faster, lesser time is wasted in commute, lesser time is wasted in travel, more time can be given for business related activities, work related activities. Understood? So these are the benefits. Any doubts? Now government has expanded the scheme. Now it will want to connect even the northeast, hilly and aspirational districts. Understood? Why northeast? You know why. For economic development. Any doubts, students? Now this is a good topic. Now how many of you use Chrome, Google Chrome? अरे एक्टिस तो बाद में आएगा ना, पहले तो हमें डेवलप करना है ना अपने एरिया को. Now the possibility that if you have to surf internet, you either use Google's Chrome or you use Apple's Safari, right? How many of you use any browser other than these two? Internet surf करना है तो what do? Okay, some of you, very less people use Microsoft Edge. You either use Brave browser or you use Mozilla's Firefox, right? Or some of you even use Chinese, which is there in your phone, Chinese browsers. but most of the people use either Chrome or Safari. Majority, about 80% of internet user use Chrome. And why do you think Google or Apple is providing you a browser for free? UC banned है शिवम, Chinese का है, don't use it. Tor browser, okay. The onion drink. I used to use Tor browser. Now Google provides you services like web browser, YouTube, Maps, Gmail for free so that it can utilize the data that it fetches out of those apps and then it can monetize that data. So how many of you like shopping? Women especially. Tell me, where do you like to shop for your clothes? Have you heard of this brand? Very popular in India these days. So suppose you ordered a top from Myntra, right? So this mail confirmation would come to your Gmail and Google would know about it. So now Google would recommend you top from other rival websites like Nykaa or like other fashion websites I don't know about, like Ajio. So this is what Google uses your data for. Or suppose if you like to go to Zudio and if you move to another city, Google would show you where the nearest Zudio is located so that you can go to Zudio and shop. Understood? So this is how free internet services work. Basically, they are providing you these services so that they can use your data and monetize this data by offering targeted ads. So now, two AI companies, that is Perplexity, has come up with its browser called as Comet, and OpenAI, which also has developed ChatGPT, it has come up with a browser called as Atlas. So why these companies have come up with their own browser? Can anyone tell me? When there are bigger companies, Google and Apple, they are making browsers. So why these smaller companies, Chota Gundas, have come? Any idea? First of all, any browser is a gateway to internet. What is it? Gateway to internet. Your first interaction with what is internet is when you surf websites on a browser. So right now, these are available, or these apps are available as different apps. But if these companies bring more data, or these companies can bring more user, it would allow them to get more data from users, which they can monetize. But there is another reason also. Can you tell me? Yes, Chanu, you are the product, not the customer. But there are other reasons also beyond monetization and data collection. Now, what is the most famous product of Google? Can you tell me? What is the most famous product of Google, or what is Google best known for? Not map, not YouTube. Google search. This is the best known product of Google. Right? So what used to happen before? Suppose if you have to find out what is Atlas ChatGPT, right? So you search what is Atlas ChatGPT in Google. Google would give you these kind of return or responses. It would give you different links to the site telling you what is ChatGPT or what is Atlas. Understood? So this is how traditional Google search worked. But now we are living in era of AI. So this does not give you directly what you are looking, or this does not provide you direct answers. It provides you link to the direct answers, right? But now with integration of AI, Google is also changing. Now suppose if I say importance of current affairs in UPSC, it, before giving me the links to different website, it would create an AI summary that current affairs is extremely important for UPSC exam, for both prelims and mains. In which stages of exams, how is current affair going to benefit for your preparation? Google through its AI is directly providing me with data. And if I have to use ChatGPT, if I have to use Perplexity, I'll have to go to their website, or I'll have to install a different app in my mobile phones. And what is the expertise of these companies? What is the expertise of these companies? The expertise of these companies are generative AI. So they want to integrate generative AI with traditional search, so that rather giving you a links, these companies would directly provide you the answers to the questions that you're looking for. And this would add to the convenience of the users. It would make user interface more friendly. Understood? Understood? Any doubt up till now? So this is because the traditional way people used to search information is changing. Earlier, Google used to provide us link with the information. Now we are getting information directly through AI. And these companies, as their main area of work is AI, they are looking to integrate generative AI with traditional search, so that you're getting more better responses in a lesser amount of time. You'll have to search less. You can have direct information directly. That is why Google is doing it, so that you don't move to these companies. Now tell me, what would be the impact of this move? Tell me. Impact on customers like you and I. Tell me. What would be the impact? Your productivity would increase. Earlier, you used to spend a lot more time on searching for the right answers, but now you're spending lesser amount of time. More choice, good Shivam. Patience will decrease. Not talking about customers' social behavior, I'm talking about economic. Privacy is a big concern, yes. So more data is collected. So it increases privacy concern. Good. Who answered this? Chanu and Sunanda. Good. Any more impact? What about trust of the information? Would it increase or would it decrease? Trust or accuracy of information. Is generative AI 100% correct every time? Trust and accuracy of the information would decrease. Earlier, if you are getting a search result, going to a government website would give me a more accurate data. Going to websites of Indian Express, Hindu would give me a more accurate data, right? Rather than going to a blog. But now you don't know generative AI is producing that content from which website. So you won't trust it 100%. Now tell me, what would be impact on other businesses? What would be the impact on other businesses? Now, whenever you are searching for something, and if Google has taken money for a particular search result, Google displays sponsored logo over that, and that search result would come above the free search result. So this would mean loss of revenue for ad businesses, right? For news websites like Hindu and Indian Express, to access content, you'll have to subscribe to the content, right? But now you're getting the information for free, so their revenue would also decrease, right? But for digital companies, competition is increasing, and how would it lead to innovation? More innovation now. Right? Good Sunanda, good ASB, good Chanu. So these would be the impact. Any doubts? Why do you think Google brought AI responses in its search result? Because it's going to know that these companies are going to bring their own browsers. So to retain the existing customers, Google has made that change. And this is an example of innovation. But some other businesses would suffer negatively. Any doubts? So see how this simple news, this chotu news that we are going to discuss has led to some more dimensions. You know how the question would appear in prelims? In mains, they can ask you deeper questions, like how we have discussed right now, this particular slide or this slide. Understood? But in prelims, you know the questions would come Atlas, Comet, recently in news are related to what? So you should be able to remember these names also. Well, it will make human impatient. वो human का problem है और वो company का problem है. If people are looking more reels on Instagram, is it a problem of Instagram or is it a problem of people? It is a problem of people. Instagram as a company would do everything so that people keep on watching reels. It is you who is self-regulating in nature now, that you'll have to decide that should I just look at the reels or should I keep on watching the reels for hours and hours, wasting my precious time. I hope you guys are not doing that. So the questions and prelims would come like this. Atlas Comet recently news is related to what? But for your own understanding, you need to go deeper, just like how we got in this particular class. Now, what have I told you about maritime exercises or any kind of exercises that happens between one country and another? जब भी कोई एक्सरसाइज होता है, व्हाट हैव आई टोल्ड यू व्हाट टू डू? Anyone can tell me? Just make a separate table somewhere in your copy. Exercise name, India, and which country is involved. Just that is important. Name and country. How frequently happened, what kind of ships were involved, what kind of exercise happened, not important. Never ever has UPSC asked a question. Even if it asks you a question, that would just be one question. Do you think your time is so precious that you can use it for such kind of low cost benefit effort? No. Here something becomes important, that is the name of Japan Maritime Self-Defense Forces. Now, what is the name of India's Navy? Indian Navy. What is the name of US Navy? United States Navy. Why is Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force is named differently? Any idea? Jyotiraditya? Chanu? शिवम? शिवम कल चैनल ढूंढ रहे थे, मिला कि नहीं मिला टेलीग्राम? Well, after World War II, after US bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, US signed an agreement with Japan saying that I will ensure your security, but you can't increase your military beyond a certain level. It also capped the kind of a military equipments that Japanese can have. So you'll realize Japan, although very technologically developed, it still does not have an aircraft carrier. It still does not have its own 5th generation aircraft. It still does not have its nuclear weapons. There are two famous countries who do not have nuclear weapons, that is Japan and Germany. You know, these countries are called as turnkey nuclear power. Turnkey nuclear power. That is, if they decide they want to have nuclear weapons, it would take them a very short amount of time to develop nuclear weapons. But they haven't developed nuclear weapons because US is providing them with security umbrella. Now, yes, Shinzo Abe was very big proponent of increasing the size of Japanese military, and to an extent he said that we should be self-sufficient. That we can't keep on going on, be dependent on US for long to meet our security requirements. Why does Japan going to militarize now? Any idea? Why just Japan thinking to militarize now? Because of two disturbing countries, China and North Korea. You know the official name of North Korea? Can anyone tell me the official name of North Korea? You'll laugh when I tell you that. Democratic People's Republic of Korea. DPRK. You know the official name of China? People's Republic of China. You know the official name of Taiwan? Taiwan's official name? It's Republic of China. So होता है ना, दो ढाबे हो गए दो भाइयों के, they would say असली ढाबा, पुराना ढाबा, original ढाबा. So they are like two brothers fighting over the name of a ढाबा. PRC and ROC. मैं असली हूं, मैं असली हूं. मधुबन रेस्टोरेंट, असली मधुबन रेस्टोरेंट, बलिया की शान. You get this reference? Good that you guys got it. So this is why they are fighting. So this is what you needed to know. Now, why do you think India and Japan are participating in this exercise? Any guesses? Not because of Quad, because of China. China has increased its military deployment near Japan, that is in East China Sea, in South China Sea, and near India, that is in Indian Ocean. And this increased deployment is because of movement of submarines, Chinese submarines. So you'd realize that most of the exercise they are taking is relating to anti-submarine warfare, missile defense, flying operations, so as to tackle Chinese military. This is what you need to remember. Now, the Tamil Nadu State Department of Archaeology has completed first phase of underwater archaeological survey of coast of Pumpuhar in Tamil Nadu, which is located in this district. Pandian, Veera Pandian, are you there? Can you pronounce this for me? I don't want to pronounce this incorrectly, that is why I am not pronouncing it. Mailaduthurai. Sorry if I pronounce it incorrectly. Well, Pumpuhar port is also known as, or anciently it was called as, Kaveri Pumpattinam, which means the city where the river Kaveri flows into sea, right? And it was a very famous port that flourished during Sangam age. That was the time period of 300 before Christ and 300 after Christ, and during early time period of Chola dynasty. And this is believed to have submerged in the sea due to catastrophic coastal erosion or flooding during 4th to 5th century, right? And why is it significant? It served as first major maritime trade port connecting South India with that of Rome, Southeast Asia and Sri Lanka, and it acted as a hub for inland and overseas trade. And where is it mentioned? This is important. Where is Pumpuhar port mentioned? In Sangam literature, especially Pattinapillai and Silappatikaram. I hope I have pronounced it correctly. Okay, so these two facts are important. What kind of river? Pumpuhar port was located on Kaveri river, where Kaveri river drains into the sea, and where it is mentioned, this. So just this is important for your exam. Silappatikaram, okay. Now, Harappan sites are very important. How many of you have attended your ancient history classes? So, in ancient history, one of the most important topics is Indus Valley civilizations. And from the previous year question, you will know important Indus Valley civilizations and their cities or their sites are very important from your exams perspective. So whenever there is a development relating to Harappan site, you'll have to follow it. Okay. So students who have not attended or are going to attend, please ensure you remember each and every important detail of Indus Valley civilization when it is covered in your classes. Okay. Now we are going to talk about this 4,000-year-old Harappan site in Kotada Badli in Gujarat, that is in the Kutch Peninsula. Now, especially Harappan ports located in India are very important. Can anyone name important Harappan ports or areas where Harappan civilizations interacted with the sea? Lothal, good. Now this Kotara Badli is located in Kutch. It lies strategically between major Harappan urban centers like Dholvira, Lothal and Shikarpur. And it belongs to which phase of Harappan civilization? Mature phase. Mature phase is the later stage. Okay. What has been found here? Fortified structures, central multi-room buildings, large open spaces likely to be used as animal pens or loading areas, and evidences of food waste, imported goods and pottery also suggest transient human activity and trade exchanges. Yes, good Shakti Raj. Now tell me, in which kind of civilization you'd find food wastage? Or in which kind of civilization you'd find imported goods and existence of pottery? In richer civilizations, obviously. Now, you know, Americans waste a lot of food. You know why? They have plenty of food. Why? Because America is rich. And people invest in pottery, people invest in good only when they have high disposable income. So this shows you what kind of civilization was mature Harappan civilization. Was it a rich civilization, prosperous civilization, or was it a poor and not so prosperous civilization? Rich civilization. That is why their town planning was planned. Even today, India does not have planned roads, but Harappans did have that. Good, everyone. Well, you have to give it to Americans. Unlike Europeans, Americans are very hardworking. So yes, America has plenty of natural resources, but America has learned how to use that natural resources. America has been called as land of opportunity, and you'll realize it why. People who have gone to America without having anything with them, and they have been made rich because of the kind of business activity that goes in America. Their culture, you have to understand, it propels innovation. If you're hardworking, you'll sure make it a very good life in America. One of the qualities that they have. That is why they are the world's largest economy right now. Not everything is bad about everyone. You'll have to recognize that. Well, India was a golden bird. India is not a golden bird anymore. We can be very developed, but we have to choose very accordingly. We have the potential, but right now we are not developed. That you have to understand. If you have to say anything else, we are not living in reality. To progress, you'll have to understand where you're standing right now. Now, whenever there is an important space object sent into space, most of the UPSC current affairs, they focus on various equipments that is attached on various space objects. So suppose if ISRO sends a satellite, people would focus उसमें ये instrument लगा है, ये sensor लगा है, they will try to remember everything. But have I told you to remember all of those stuff? Shakti, focus इधर. फोकस, क्लास पे फोकस. शक्ति ना भावनाओं में बह जाता है. इट्स ओके, आई वॉज ऑल्सो लाइक यू व्हेन आई वॉज योर एज. भावनाओं में नहीं बहना है. यू हैव टू बी वेरी स्मार्ट. बहुत कुछ है यहाँ प्रिपेयर करने के लिए. भावनाओं में बह गए ना तो हो गया काम. गोल क्या है? व्हाट इज योर गोल? सिलेक्शन. इज योर गोल डूइंग अ PhD? नो. So control Uday. Now, whenever any important equipment is in news, especially if that equipment has found anything significant, that equipment becomes important. Not every equipment. So कोई भी satellite जा रहा है ना, तो उसके इक्विपमेंट्स याद करने मत लग जाना. Only when that satellite finds something interesting, then only you'll have to find out किस equipment ने how, what equipment and how it found out that significant discovery that makes it important. So ISRO, as you can remember, it sent Chandrayaan 2. Okay, what was Chandrayaan 2? Thank you, Vansh. At least somebody noticed. So what was Chandrayaan 2? Can anyone recall? Mission on the moon. But unfortunately, Chandrayaan 2's lander was not able to soft land on moon. So India sent another probe, that is Chandrayaan 3, exclusively to send a probe which has touched down in the moon south pole. Now there was an equipment here called as Chase 2, Chase with a C, Chandra's Atmospheric Composition Explorer, which has made a first ever observation of the effect of sun's coronal mass ejection. Right? What is sun's coronal mass ejection and why do we need to study it? Can anyone tell me? What is CME and why do we need to study it? Coronal mass ejection, when it interacts with Earth's magnetic field, it leads to a particular geographical phenomena. What is that called? Australia Northern Lights, right? Aurora Borealis, Aurora Australialis, in the North and South Pole, also known as Northern Lights. That beautiful green wala image that you can understand now. Can you picture it? Let me show it to you also. This is the image I'm talking about. This. Okay. Now this is what is the normal state of affairs whenever CME interacts with Earth's magnetic field. But if CME or the amount of CME increases beyond a certain period, it can lead to harmful effects on our space objects. And if it destroys communication satellite, this would disrupt the communication system on the Earth. So that is why it is essential for a space body like ISRO to study coronal mass ejections. Why? ISRO has a lot of satellites in the space, right? So this Chase 2 is meant to study the composition, density and variations in the lunar exosphere, and it measures neutral atoms and molecules around the moon, and it has provided first direct evidences of CME induced pressure enhancement on lunar atmosphere, right? This is why Chase 2 payload is important, and how CME impacts lunar exosphere or the outer layer of moon's atmosphere. So you'll have to remember only this much. Chase 2 does what? Studies CME, particularly impact of CME on moon. Why? It is attached to Chandrayaan 2. Just this much you'll have to remember. What is CME? I've already told you. It is eruption of plasma and magnetic field from sun's corona. These are charged particles. So when they interact with Earth's magnetic field, it leads to atmospheric phenomena like northern lights. Yes, good Shakti Raj. Now let us talk about this very interesting article. New diplomacy of mediation. Why are we talking about it? Any idea? abhi Afghanistan and Pakistan were fighting, who stopped this fighting? Any idea? Not Qatar and Saudi, Qatar and Turkey. When when Russia and Ukraine are fighting, who is trying to solve these kind of fighting? Turkey tried, China tried, India is trying. Right? Notice any shift in mediation efforts? Have you noticed any shift in this mediation efforts? डोनाल्ड ट्रंप से नहीं होगा. Yes, good observation, Shakti. Bigger countries like US, important multilateral bodies like UN, their role is reducing. And see, emerging powers or smaller countries are playing a more important role. Yes, good Shaktiraj. Switzerland now, not anymore. I am going to talk about why bigger powers are not able to do that. Why smaller countries are doing that. What is the status of Qatar in front of US? Now, for any country or for any party to play the role of a mediator, what do you think is an essential characteristic of that country, or what do you think is an essential factor that country should have to play a role of mediator? Or if two friends are fighting, who is going to stop them? What quality people stop that fight? Is it neutrality? Is it neutrality? Friend of both, you can say. Maybe yes, but greater than that, you also need to have a leverage. You understand what is leverage? Not faida. Leverage is a stronghold. That I have something over you. Leverage can be authority, leverage can be economic power, leverage can be anything. Now, when Donald Trump claimed that he has allowed for ceasefire between India and Pakistan, what threat you think Donald Trump said to have made on India and Pakistan? That if you don't stop fighting, I will stop trading from both of you. This is what Trump claims to have said, right? So what gave US the leverage in this case? Was it neutrality? No, it was leverage of trade. Why is US asking India to not import crude oil from Russia? It says that if you don't stop importing crude oil from Russia, I will increase tariff on you. Why? Because US is a net importer of Indian goods. So that is a leverage that US has. But yes, neutrality also plays an important role. Another factor that plays an important role is the soft power. That if a country has a soft power, it gives it a greater leverage. Yes. Now, what is the changing landscape of global mediation? From West, it has now gone to rest. In Geneva Accord, where Soviets withdrew from Afghanistan, Oslo Accord, where Israel and PLO first time signed a peace framework, it was signed first in Washington and it was signed in Norway. Similarly, Dayton Agreement led to Bosnian peace deal. So who was negotiating it? Big powers like US. Understood? Now, what are new markers of radiation? It is being settled on a regional basis. People are highlighting which are pragmatic parties. Those have a stronger approach towards mediation. And soft power and visibility of a country also plays an important role. Why do you think Qatar, despite being a small country, has become such an important mediator? Any idea? What leverage Qatar has? Can anyone tell me? Forget about others. What leverage does Qatar have? First of all, Qatar has a lot of money. Qatar is one of the biggest exporters of natural gas. It has hosted world events like the FIFA World Cup. So it gives Qatar much improved global visibility. It owns a global news channel called as Al Jazeera. So it gives it soft power. So these are the factors that have acted together to lend Qatar the status of being a mediator that it is today. Most important factor, money. Most important factor, natural gas. These are secondary factors. Understood? Now tell me, why is Saudi sometimes playing an important role as a mediator? Why do you think? Now tell me about Saudi. Not US. Saudi, like Qatar, also has a large amount of money. It is also one of the biggest exporters of crude oil. Going forward, Saudi is also making investment in startups in many companies. But the most important factor that gives Saudi its power or leverage over others is, right, Shakti Raj? It is because two of the most holiest places in Islam, Makkah and Medina, are located in Saudi Arabia. And you know what Saudi does to countries who does not agree with Saudi? Saudi says that if you don't accept my conditions, I will give your people less amount of visas whenever they will have to visit Makkah and Medina. So automatically countries who have large population of people from Islam religion, they accept what Saudi is saying. So this gives Saudi the leverage that if you don't agree to me, I will stop you giving visas for visiting Makkah, Medina. So people would obviously have problems with the government. Understood? Now tell me, what is India's stand on mediation? Does India like or does India dislike third-party mediation? India dislikes third-party mediation. India wants the parties involved in the problem to itself solve this problem. Why? India has had bad historical examples. Has India ever played a role of a mediator? Yes, we have. But you know, when India played a role in mediator in Sri Lanka, you know how this all went. Now, what are opportunities for India? If India wants to play a role of mediator in stopping the Russia-Ukraine war, first of all, India will demonstrate its ability to give South leadership, global South leadership. right? It would also act as a regional stabilizer in the Southeast Asia or South Asia. And India also has a multilateral advantage that gives India the strategic leverage. What? India is a party to BRICS, SCO and G20. Understood this? Any doubt? Any doubt, students? वेल हमें क्या फर्क पड़ता है रशिया जीते या यूक्रेन जीते what is in our interest so that the war can stop so that we can import goods from both of the countries we can trade with both of these countries that is what our interest is Russia जीते यूक्रेन जीते for us that matters less what did I tell you what is primary in international relation what kind of interest is primary national interest. And Shaktiraj, if we try anything aggressively and if it does not materialize, don't you think it will bring bad reputation? So nothing happens when you force it to happen. When you let natural course of order to happen, when you nudge something, then only it happens. Okay? So on that note, let's end our today's session. We'll meet again tomorrow. Saturday hai to no laziness. Please come to the session. Okay? Have a good day everyone. Bye bye.